What's good, YouTube? The God of War. Is it a physical or spiritual battle? I go by the name Pushy Push. Down below is my TikTok at pushy.push. Definitely go check those videos out over there. Also, drop a like and subscribe right here to my YouTube. But let's talk about it. God. I've always had a thought about the God inside of the Bible, and I think what stood out to me is his wrath, the wrath inside of the Bible, and the commandments that are expected to be followed. So, what I'm looking at is how the God in the Bible operates with Israel when it's fighting on its behalf, and even when the God is upset. You know, um, there are some interesting points of view that I guess I would like to show on that right there. So to jump to this slide right here, it says right here in the Bible, the God of Israel is described as fighting in a cloud and fire during the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. So what's standing out to me is the God fighting in a cloud and fire. That is what's standing out and what we're going to look at as we go through this. Down below is various moments where the pillar of fire has appeared in front of Israel. But what we're going to be looking at is the fire in the cloud, the fighting in a cloud and fire. That is what we're going to look at right there. So we jump over. This is a close example to what those words said. There's a being right here in the cloud, and it has like a device in its hand. And there are people below in a chariot, and it looks like the horses is fleeing. The people are trying to move out the way. This is an example to me when I was really deep into the church mindset of what the God of the Bible's power looked like, or what it looked like when it was fighting on the behalf of Israel. It's something in a cloud, and I've always imagined it was a angel or something like that. I really never had a clear-cut idea of what that was fighting on behalf of Israel. So this coin, in my spiritual mindset, I would think that this would be the image that is fighting on behalf of Israel. But as I studied more, I realized that this image right here is a symbolic image. It is not actually the true image, but it is true. And you will kind of see as we go along. Right here is important because the coins that I show will have these names on it. And it's important to know that they are associated with Israel. So it says Yahweh and Jehovah are both names for the God of Israel in the Bible. And it's very important. So Yahweh and Yahweh are both the same names for the God of Israel in the Bible. It's important right there to know that as we go. And this is the reason why I say that. This is one of my favorite coins right here because of what it reveals. It shows a airship above a star fort city during the 1600s. So at the bottom it says 1653. But what strikes me most about this coin outside of the date and the factor that it's in the 1600s and it's showing you a spaceship or airship is the name that's at the top. That name at the top of the ship is Yahweh's name. And this is the reason why we had to go and look back. So we go back. We had to look back at Yahweh and Jehovah are both the names of the God of Israel, knowing that when you look at this coin and they're having the Yahweh name in the ship, it changes my perspective. I don't look at it as in a God in the sky anymore. I feel like I have to be open-minded, that you are looking exactly at what has been around for thousands of years, is people with a higher technology than man itself. And it doesn't have to be aliens. It could be people from another region and they have a greater knowledge about technology. But the name that they put on this coin at the top is Yahweh. And from there, I started applying this visual right here of a God that flies in a airship or a spaceship, a UFO, and this UFO has the ability to cloak itself. So now when I read the Bible and I see parts where it talks about the God fighting on Israel's behalf, I can't help but wonder, is this what we're seeing? Like a airship with great technology fighting people who don't have the same level of technology. So if we go on, that is where we get to this coin. You get Jehovah, or with an I, Ahovah. And the point of this coin right here, reason why I'm showing it, is because the name, it's in a cloud. It's in a fiery cloud. It's in a fiery cloud, the name. If we look right here, it says in the Bible, the God of Israel is described as fighting in a cloud and fire. If you go back, this right here is a cloud and fire, and it has the name. So if we go further back, you get both names. You get the Yahweh name inside of the airship, and you get the Jehovah name inside of a cloud of fire. Now, the question is the cloud of fire that airship? Does that ship create clouds? Does it produce fire like thrust? You go back, that is what you're looking at. This is the Yahweh name. It's in the airship. It produces clouds. Yahweh and Jehovah is the same being. So it's showing you um, the Yahweh in a symbolic way. So when you see it in the clouds like this is symbolic, versus this image right here is for real. It's this the image when the mask is pulled off. To me, this is the machine and the people who are flying above and fighting on behalf of Israel. It's people with technology fighting other people who have lesser technology. Okay, let's go on. Here's an example right here of a story of the Israelites being protected by their gods. And you kind of have to reread this when you are applying that airship that has their God's name in the ship. The Yahweh name is in the ship. So it says, as the Amorites retreat down the road from Beth Horon, the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm from heaven that continued until they reached Azekah. The hail killed more of the enemies than the Israelites killed with the sword. Now, what got me with this was the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm from heaven that continued until they reached a whole nother town. So I'm trying to imagine in my head a cloud that is throwing rocks or hell, ice, whatever, at people as they run down the road to a town that they come from. And that is where I said my perspective had to change when I'm looking at that coin with the Yahweh inside. And now for me, that is that ship that is chasing them, and it's not dropping hailstorm. Yeah, maybe a hailstorm missile. It's dropping bombs on people who do not have the same technology. So this is the reason why, we go back. This is the object that is fighting on, like fighting for Israel on its behalf. It has the Yahweh name. And if we go back over here, this is what's doing this right now. You have their Lord, to me, that is in an airship, and it's firing upon the Amorites as they retreat. And then it says the hell killed more of them than the Israelites killed with the sword. So yeah, if you can imagine that ship bombing them from above, these people only got swords and arrows. So yeah, by the time that the Israel catch up with them, because this ship is chasing them, I'm pretty sure everybody's dead. But what I had to do was realize that the God is not in a cloud necessarily. The God is in a airship. And this coin right here is a great example right here. You know, when you look at it on the right side, in our minds, in the Christian mind, this would look like God showing its wrath. But for me, this is a symbolic like a symbolic image of the Yahweh in an airship firing at the Amorites as they run. So the elite isn't going to show you that airship in battle. They're going to write that as allegory. That's why I said it's very symbolic. But this is a representation of that airship firing below. It's written in the Bible for you to look at it in this image. But the truth is, when we go back, that is what's firing below. That's why they put the name Yahweh in there, because those beings are the beings who are firing at people who do not have the same technology as them. So we go a little further. There's that in name right there again. It's in the airship. That's what that is. This is symbolic right here. This face in the cloud firing below is symbolic. This is the true image, the God of Israel. This is the God's name, Yahweh, in the scriptures. So let's look at another one. And this Deuteronomy one definitely stands out. It says, and he shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are on the verge of battle with your enemies. Do not let your heart faint. Do not be afraid, and do not tremble or be terrified because of them. For the Lord your God, he who goes with you, will fight for you and against your enemies. Their God travels with them. Their God is confident that it will be able to destroy any of Israel's enemies. And again, you know, when you're looking at it from a cloud standpoint, you know, it is a wild thought. But if you come back and you look at this coin right here, that's when it starts to get realistic, that this airship is involved in this battle right here, that the airship that we're looking at is what's going to help Israel fight. And I'll give you a great example. This coin is a great example. So you see the name, the Yahweh name on the left side is up at the top. There's a cloud and a hand coming out of it, but that's the Yahweh name. But to the right, this is the image of Deuteronomy. Like, is this Deuteronomy? You have the God in the cloud. This is how it reads to you. The God in the cloud will go forth and fight for you. So when you're looking down here, this being, it's choosing a side. There's a big battle going on, and this being is supposed to be helping one side defeat the other. And if you notice, everybody is on horses. They have lesser technology than this being right here. And this is why I come to the conclusion, this being, even though we see it like this and we read it like this, it is actually in a ship. It is actually in a ship. This is the Yahweh, the Jehovah, in a ship that is cloaked in clouds. So we go back. That is what we're looking at. This is the ship. It's cloaked in clouds. There's a person controlling the ship. They put his name at the top. That is what you're looking at right here. But in our times, they're not going to be blatant with that. You know, this is what made that coin stand out, that 16th century coin. Why it stood out. It's because it was the first time I got to see them show the true image. Instead of always telling us it's a god in a cloud, they revealed that it's actually beings in a airship that cloak itself like a cloud. So it has the power to shoot and attack. And that is what this is. This is symbolic. They're not going to show you the airship, but it's symbolic. And that airship with this being in it is choosing a side, and it's going to help one side defeat the other. It has the greatest technology. These are low technology. The people are on horses. That's very something to take note right there. That being is in this ship. That is what you're looking at. This being is in the ship. And that's why I said the Yahweh, very important to know that the Yahweh and Jehovah is the same name. And this goes really far because the God of Jacob and the God of Abraham and the God of Noah is also this Yahweh and Jehovah name. So we're talking about beings who has survived in their ships for thousands of years. This coin stands out. And the reason why it does is because this is what it looks like with people who have lesser technology fighting something that has greater technology. So you have people shooting arrows at a ship that can drop a bomb at you. This ship is what's helping Israel defeat its enemies. And I do think that it's cheating, to a degree, because no one has the technology to defeat this. So yes, Israel won all its battles because their God, which is nothing more than a being that they praise, is going forth and destroying all their enemies using their technologies. And when the enemies go back to fight, all they have is these arrows right here. So definitely an unfair war. This right here is one of the strongest pieces that show why Israel receives the favor that it receives, because this entity doesn't do it for free. You have to do something in order to get the help of this entity. And Genesis chapter 9 verse 5 shows you the requirements that it takes in order for this entity to back you and defeat all your enemies. So in the Bible, this is the second commandment. Like you have Moses with the 10 commandments. Okay, so the 10 commandments is separate. This is the second commandment given inside of the Bible before the 10 commandments. Let me show you the first commandment. This is actually the first commandment. Let me read it to you. It says, Then God said, Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of the earth, and every tree which has fruit yielding seed. It shall be food for you. So this part was basically saying that man is supposed to eat the fruit of the tree. That is a commandment. It says, and to the beast of the earth, and to every bird of the sky, and to everything that moves on the earth, which has life, I have given every green plant for you. So this was a commandment given to the animals that they were supposed to eat the fruit of the tree. What that tells you is there was a time where there was no carnivores, there was no lions, there was no tigers, there were no animals that ate other animals. You were supposed to eat the fruit of the tree. The animals were supposed to eat the fruit of the tree. That is the first commandment. This right here is the second commandment. So that starts to let you know that there is multiple beings. Some call this Enki and Enil. I mean, it's whatever you choose to take it as, because, they say that one of them are the Yahweh, but this is the requirements for that God that is backing Israel right here. These are the requirements. It says, and surely your blood of your lives will I require. So it's saying that it requires your life, and surely your blood of your lives I will require. It requires your life. It says, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. So it's saying that it needs man to kill the beast as a sacrifice when it commands. It says, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. It needs man to commit the sacrifice. Down below, it says, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. So this part is saying that it requires you to sacrifice your brother, your family member, in order to have the Yahweh that's in the airship to fight on behalf of Israel, to fight on behalf of Jacob, to protect Noah. You had to agree with these commandments. These commandments require you to sacrifice yourself. They require you to kill animals as a ritual. It requires you to kill your brother if they require it. The word to look at is require. It's not a choice. And this is what makes this God a jealous God, because it seems like when the world stopped following these commandments, the world got destroyed, and it brings Noah in with his family, and they keep on these commandments right here, willing to sacrifice themselves, willing to sacrifice the animal, and willing to sacrifice their family in order to appease this God right here, or these beings that are in a ship. This is the requirement. And you got to ask yourself, is this still happening today? Is this Hollywood? And surely the blood of your lives I will require. Is that Hollywood and it's sacrificing? I think so. If we go on right here, it says, for you shall worship no other God, for the Lord whose name is jealous. So when you don't follow those commandments, this God becomes jealous. See, I don't look at the Bible in the same manner as everybody. Like, spiritualism is different from me. I believe in my big mama. When she passed, I ate with that person who is now an ancestor. My mother died when she was 10, like when I was 10, My mother died when I was 10. I used to hear her voice call my name. And I've always had this thing that the dead isn't dead. So I've always carried in myself to call on the ancestors. So when this is saying you shall worship no other gods, it's almost making me feel like I shouldn't call on my ancestors if that is the God for me. So this God becomes jealous because you're not putting it first. And now it's willing to enact its rage because you're not following the commandments that it placed down. And these are the commandments. And surely the blood of your lives I require. It requires your life in order for it to go out and fight on your, like on the behalf of Israel in this perspective. That Jehovah right there, the fire in the sky, that being right there requires sacrifice. We get right here. It says on the coin, fear God, honor the king. The name right there is Yahweh. The name right there is Jehovah. It's the coin is telling you to fear Jehovah. Well, yeah, because these beings are in a ship and they have greater technology than you, and they can destroy you. You don't have greater technology than them. So yeah, you don't have no choice but to fear what the world has been, honest, actually seems like been destroyed several times over. You know, I see this guy with the Egyptians and destroying the Egyptians. We go to here. This name right here, Yahweh, it's the exact same name that's on the coin. So this coin right here says Yahweh. On this ship, it says Yahweh. The Yahweh is in a ship. And this coin is telling you to praise these beings that are in a ship. I can't do that right there. And this is the reason why I said the God of war. There is beings who have greater technology than we do, and they have been defeating us on behalf of other nations and possibly even do it to this day. Ultimately, this is their power. You know, we've been reading bits and pieces out the Bible, and this Bible, to me, it's showing that the God inside of it is a being who flies a ship, and it has people who on the ground follows its rules. So the church itself, as you can see, this priest in the cloud, symbolic the same way. He's of the same order. He is following that which is in that ship. He follows the Yahweh, this priest right here. And it's the reason why you can find the commandments in the book, because there are people out there who are upholding those words right there. These words right here. There are people and the church, all type of Illuminati people, um, possibly even the Diddies, that are following these commandments right here. And these commandments are ancient. They're the requirements. And when you don't follow them, it seems like your country gets destroyed. And if, like say in Israel's case, you quit doing the commandments, then he lets Nebuchadnezzar come after you. So the question is Israel doing these commandments today? Are they trying to win back the Yahweh? That's an interesting piece right there. I would say, be of your own spirituality. No one can tell you who to call on. But I would say this: I sat at the table with my ancestors. I ate dinner with them. And then when they passed, they became uh, the ancestor or the God for me. The Yahweh in the Bible, I've never sat down and ate with that God right there. So I don't know who it is. But when I read about it, it's always destroying people who does not follow its rules. And this is the rules right here. So Israel was let go because it didn't follow these commandments. And the Egyptians was let go because they didn't follow these commandments. And possibly the world during the time of Noah, maybe the people rejected these beings. And in the rage, they destroyed the world. They flooded the world. And Noah coming into the new world is willing to keep these commandments. And now in some way, we are upholding this. So I would say, be of your own spirituality, and I don't feel bad about questioning the God inside of the Bible. So definitely drop a like, friend up, I'm definitely keep dropping the content. I challenge everything. That's the thing that I believe separates me from a lot of people, is I don't believe that I have to agree with the status quo. So I render my opinion. With that right there, family, thank you.